Zombieland Saga is an anime that has a bit of a hoopla surrounding it. I've seen people on Twitter and Reddit celebrating that one of the characters is trans. Oh god, is this one of those cases where they're referring to trap characters as trans again? So I went on to the meme stream assuming that that is the case, but then I've had many people who are viewers of mine who actually come to me and say, actually Appa, this character is trans. She's not a trap at all. She had a previous name. But then I consulted my other friend who is an anime YouTuber who is very much in tune with Zombieland Saga, and he said, actually no, she's a trap because she's cross-dressing and her new name is actually her stage name. So which one is it? I have no idea. Zombieland Saga is not exactly an anime that I'm interested in, but this has gotten quite a bit of hoopla surrounding it, and considering that even my fans say that she's pretty much trans, I figured that this would be a really interesting topic to talk about. So let's talk about it, shall we? So what is Zombieland Saga? Well, it starts off with our main character Sakura, who has a dream of becoming an idol. Then she got hit by a speeding pickup truck and the credits popping in with a death metal music in the background, essentially saying, that's right guys, we just killed a high schooler by a scene straight out of Final Destination. We are absolutely responsible for this heinous crime, and we did it because the anime wouldn't exist otherwise. Aren't anime creators a bunch of really nice people? Anyway, after being hit by a pickup truck driven by the producers of the anime, she woke up in a haunted mansion filled with tons and tons of zombies. Sakura also found out later on that she too is also a zombie, and she and the other zombies are tasked by this delusional, eccentric Chunibu manager to become very popular idols. The zombies that he picked are in fact very famous idols who were dead and got resurrected by necromancy? The anime doesn't care, so let's just say that if this guy is in real life, he wouldn't be doing all of these things for very long. My take on the anime? Well, it's not finished yet. It has 8 episodes at the time of writing out of 12 usually, but so far it's fine. It's the same reaction that I got from Goblin Slayer. It's a nice little anime that has an interesting premise, and it does what it tries to do really well. And it makes me laugh quite a lot in the first few episodes, but most anime make me laugh in the first few episodes, so this anime is not gonna get credits for that. So what's the current hoopla surrounding the anime? Well, the hoopla surrounding the anime is because of episode 8, which is the most recent episode at the time of writing this video. Episode 8 details the story of one of the idols, Lily, a former child actress who died and turned into a zombie to become one of the idols. I'm not gonna spoil any further for now because episode 8 is the best episode of the entire anime. It's an astonishingly heartbreaking origin story which details the cause of her death and the subsequent impact that it has towards her loved ones. It also details about her motivation, her dreams, her passion, many other things that end in a really heartbreaking conclusion. So let's clear the air. There's still a massive debate surrounding whether or not the respective character is trans or trap. So after seeing the episode and after seeing feedback by my own viewers telling me that she's different from many other characters that the obnoxious woke anime community consider to be trans, I have found out something truly astonishing. Something that will blow all of your minds. This character is a trap! I'm not saying that to own the woke anime or destroy the libtards or whatever the anti-progressive guys use to describe these people. I'm saying this because with all the facts considered, she is a trap. And the reason why the woke anime community considers her a trans character is actually quite understandable. She's still a trap, but you know what? Let's get all the facts here. But before we get to all the facts, if you have seen Zombieland Saga but you haven't finished it yet, I recommend finishing it and seeing all the way to episode 8. As for the rest of you who haven't seen Zombieland Saga, there will be tons and tons of spoilers for this anime. So if you don't care about spoilers or if you have seen the anime, stay tuned. But if you haven't finished it yet, go finish them. It's 8 episodes, so it's around 2 hours and 40 minutes. Are we good? Good, because spoilers in 3, 2, 1. This video is brought to you by my wonderful patrons at Patreon. You can support this channel for just $1 a month, link down below. Also, huge thanks to our new patrons, Haruka, Nightstalker94, and Divided Zero. You guys are fantastic. Okay, for real, the spoiler part isn't right now. I just want to warn people that there will be spoilers ahead as soon as possible. Anyway, before we talk about the spoilers, or at least the important spoilers, I want to establish 2 definitions that a lot of people don't seem to agree on. The definition of trap and the definition of trans. My definition of a trans person is pretty much in line with GLAAD's definition. People whose gender's identity differs from sex that they were born with, not assigned at birth. Okay, mostly my definition is in line, but that's my definition. I think it's the most accurate definition of what a trans person is. How about traps? Well, amongst the progressives, the term trap can be used as a slur towards trans people because trap implies that trans people trap straight people into a relationship. The problem is, it's incredibly rare for people to use this term to refer to actual trans people nowadays. In current year, if we're talking about traps, especially in the internet sphere, it's always talking about the anime traps, as in characters who look like girls but are actually boys. And yet despite all of that, progressives, regardless if they're cis or trans, are always offended by the usage of this word. I have no idea why. It's not referring to them, obviously. The latest one that I covered is when Anime News Network decided to go on frenzy in filtering words on their forums and making some really stupid takes. I've discussed about this in another video. So I think it's crystal clear. A trans person is someone who suffered from gender dysphoria, and a trap is someone who cross-dresses for various purposes. Now the question is, which one of these words that truly defines Lily's character? The correct answer is trap. And yes, it is the correct answer. It's not my personal interpretation. It's not from the original translation that apparently has been butchered by Crunchyroll, which is one of the most popular narratives from the trap side of the argument that I find to be incredibly sketchy at best. So on what basis do I consider her a trap? Simple. Episode 8! Yes, that entire episode explains very clearly on why she's not trans. But wait a second, that's the same episode that the people who say that she's trans watch. Why are there people who still call her trans, even amongst your viewers? There are so many factors, obviously, the biggest one being the entire episode is an emotional roller coaster, but still, we need to lay down all the facts before we jump into conclusion. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where I lay down all the facts that we can gather from this episode alone, and when you gather all of these things, the answer is very crystal clear. So let's start off with the origin story of why Lily loves being an idol. And here's where the real spoilers come in. Lily tells Sakura about her story with her father. She has a really damn good relationship with her father, and they were really happy together. One of the most popular activities that she loves to do with her father is watching TV. Lily noticed that one of the ways for her to make her father happy is to have her be on TV. That's why she becomes an idol, and her father even quits his job to become her manager. At first, things were working really well. Every show that she's in, she puts a lot of magic and charm into it. I can confirm that. She's on Zombieland Saga after all, and she puts quite a lot of charm in the show as well. But there's one time where Lily locks herself in her room because she grows hair in her legs. That worries Lily because she's unable to look cute anymore with her hair, but her father proposes an easy solution to just don't even bother about them. They're not going to show up anyway. And here's where things get really heartbreaking. Lily noticed that she grew a piece of hair right on her chin, and this caused an unrelenting mental shock towards her that she actually died. Yes, she died of a mental shock thanks to growing a piece of hair on her chin. Realized that her male hormones would eventually kick in and she couldn't be a cute idol anymore. And that event led to her being a zombie and her father not wanting to see the TV anymore because of that horrendous memory. This eventually leads to a legitimately tear-jerking ending where she sings a farewell song to her father indirectly. For an anime that is just fine overall, this episode is amazing. It's up there with Violet Evergarden's episode 10, which is such a masterpiece of an episode. I would even straight up recommend it, even if you haven't seen the previous episodes of Violet Evergarden. This one requires a bit more context and build up to make sense with the other characters, but it is still a fantastic episode nonetheless. Wait, I was talking about traps. Let's get back on topic. One thing that I noticed regarding the debate between Lily's identity as a trap or a trans person is that no one in both sides seemed to mention one important thing that is actually very critical in her development to become a girl. Her dream. So why is her dream important? Well, it's established that all this time, Lily is her stage name and that she has an old male name that her father called her. And there you go, that's very definitely a trans character in an anime. Finally, I am represented in this medium. Not so fast. That alone is not enough because that removes so many contexts about her identity, and if you think that's actually enough to define her as trans, then that could only simplify what it means to have gender dysphoria, which is actually even more insulting to trans people. Now from my understanding, it's complicating for trans people to explain why they have gender dysphoria. GLAAD even compared that to having a sexuality. It's really hard to explain why you have a certain sexuality and why you're interested with girls or boys or even both. You just do. So it's safe to assume that it's similar, if not more complicating, for trans people around the world to truly define why they want to identify as another gender. It's usually along the lines of, I personally don't feel like I belong in this body, and even that opens a lot more complications. So is Lily's motivation on being a girl complicating to explain? No, it's not. She wants to be a girl because she wants to be an idol so that she can be on TV to impress her father and make everyone happy. She did an amazing job at it. She's living in that dream. Unfortunately, her male hormones got in the way of her dream. Her growing up means that her voice would go deeper, she would grow hairs around her body, and that would mean that she can no longer be a cute female idol girl anymore. Actually, idol is a little inaccurate. Technically, she's a child actress, but the point is, it's her dream. She's living in the dream. She's making so many people happy. She's making her father happy. And in order for her to keep living in that dream, in order for her to keep everyone happy, she needs to maintain her cute and feminine looks. It's one of her most valuable assets. Unfortunately, reality hits her, and since she's a natural male, she's unable to handle the pressure of not being able to live in her dream anymore, and thus, she died of mental shock. It's not the story of someone being unable to accept their gender at birth, it's the story of someone whose dreams are crushed due to natural circumstances. In other words, a dream-crushing handicap, a very popular trope around the fiction sphere. I thought watching the entire thing was heartbreaking. Writing the actual reality of this situation on the script and describing them to all of you guys, it's actually a lot more heartbreaking than I thought. Now about that old name, we've established that Lily is her stage name and that she has an old male name that she didn't use. And why is that? Simple. She loves being an idol. She loves it so much that it defines who she is as a person right now. Being an idol is something that she loves to do. It's something that she's really passionate about. She wants to play this role. She wants to be the role because being in the role makes her feel happy and it makes everyone around her happy. One of the key issues being talked about in that episode was her fear of growing up and how it will prevent her from being a female child superstar forever and staying in that role. I mean, she can take a break and find other jobs in the entertainment industry, but she's already so attached to this character. She refuses to let it go. She doesn't want anything to happen to her. If her character has to go, then she also has to go. Now, you might notice that I refer to this character as a her rather than a him throughout this entire video. And the reason is simple. Her new identity is her dream. It's what she wants to be, and I respect that. She has a dream of becoming an idol, someone who is loved by many, a superstar, and she can't do it if she doesn't embrace her female identity. If being a girl is what she wants to do to achieve her dream as an idol, then I can respect that. That's a great amount of passion and dedication that are actually quite exemplary for a lot of people. If you tell me that she's trans, you are wrong. You're plain as day, clear as crystal wrong. But if you tell me that she suffers from issues that you as a trans person can relate to, I would totally agree. If you just ignore her dreams of becoming a superstar loved by everyone, why would you heartless bastard? She's ultimately a character who is embracing her brand new identity that is the opposite of her original identity, and that is an issue that trans people can relate to. However, the issue of gender dysphoria is incredibly complex, and if you boil it down to, I become a girl because I want to be a superstar loved by everyone, you're not gonna present a good case for yourself. And here I thought gender dysphoria is a complex issue. Turns out these people just want to seek attention and be famous, right? Of course not. It's a complex issue. To point to a trap character and say that they're actually trans is only going to simplify a complex issue like gender dysphoria. But if there's one thing that I have to admit to all my viewers who corrected me on this, she is indeed a very different character. She is very different to all the traps I talked about in this channel, and I put her on a very special example. While she is a trap, without a shadow of a doubt, she is so passionate about her stage character and her stage name that I cannot simply refer to her as him. It would be really disrespectful to her dreams and her wishes of becoming a superstar. She wants to be an idol. She wants to make people happy. She embraces her new character. The least we can do is to respect that decision. I respect her because she has a dream that she managed to achieve. She's really passionate about that dream and wants to continue living in that dream. And that dream just so happens to have her being a girl. It's almost kind of the same as me respecting a trans person for identifying as another gender and using their pronouns. The reasonable ones at least. But at the end of the day, Lily is a trap who just so happened to have issues that trans people can relate to. Calling her trans would actually be really disrespectful because you just simplified your gender dysphoria issue. Not only that, but you're disrespecting her actual dreams. She doesn't want to become a female because of whatever reasons trans people are transitioning nowadays. She just wants to be a superstar who is loved by everyone. I keep saying idol throughout this entire thing, but again, you get my point. If only she watched basketball instead of idol girls. Actually, that's a terrible comparison. Yeah, screw it.